premonition, which foreshadows as well.
Looking at the aspect of marriage, we also see that the marriage of the Helmers has been marred with concealments. Nora locks the door leading to Helmer's room behind Rank to fully conceal her conversation with Krogstad. This shows that secrecy, which is a big pillar in their marriage, also indicates that there is a lack of trust between the two marriage partners.
We now move to Act 3 of the text. This is the last act, and the events still take place in Helmer's room, the same setting as Act 1 and Act 2. Now, the first episode involves Krogstad and Linde. Remember, earlier on, we see Linde leaving a note to Krogstad, asking him to see her. So here he is. He has come to... When he comes, they have their love rejuvenated. Remember, we are told that they were once lovers. So at this point, our Mrs. Linde is the one on the steering. She sparks that relationship, and Krogstad considers it a luck. In fact, he says this is the most fortunate thing he has ever had in life. I believe he didn't think that she can still come back to him. They then discuss the forgery that he committed together with Nora, and informs her that the letter is already there waiting for Helmer's reading. At first, Christine tries to convince Krogstad to withdraw the letter, but after an afterthought, she tells him not to take back the letter, but rather, or instead, withdraw his mission, or rather his intentions to harm the Helmers. They agree to that, and Krogstad leaves. That opens the second episode, which marks the entrance, or which is marked by the entrance of Helmer and Nora from the dance. We learn that Nora is not willing to leave the dance. She keeps asking Helmer to give her one more hour at the dance, and I believe at this point we all know the intention or the reason for her insisting on having more time at the dance. She wants to keep Helmer away from reading the letter or the letters as much as possible. At this point, Linda is in the house and she has a little chat with them, and when she leaves, we see that Helmer was not really welcoming for her stay at that time, late in the night. So he utters a word. I hope everyone here can remember the words. He says, she's such a frightful bore, that woman. And at this time we learn that he's drunk and he's in a romantic mood. Actually, he confirms that that was the reason he took her out of the dance earlier, because he was in high spirits. And the terms he uses actually confirm the same. Rank pays them a visit, a short visit, and he borrows a cigar before he leaves, after which they believe he was going to die. And this is the beginning of scene 3. Rank actually gets cards that he leaves as he goes that declared his loathsome end, as earlier mentioned in the text. At this point, Helmer also reads the mails that were lying in the letterbox, and one of them is the letter detailing the forgery of Nora, and he gets mad. He abuses Nora, calling her names, and at this point maybe you want to see the words he uses on his wife, because this is like a game changer. At this point is when Nora realizes that Helmer never really loved her. Page 104.
The last paragraph. What a horrible awakening. All these 8 years, She who was my joy and pride, a hypocrite, a liar, worse, a criminal. The unutterable ugliness of it all. For shame, for shame. I ought to have suspected that something of the sort would happen. I ought to have foreseen it. All your father's want of principle, be silent. All your father's want of principle has come out in you. No religion, no morality, no sense of duty. How am I punished for having winked at what he did? I did it for your sake. And this is how you repay me.
So if you continue, you will see that line of thought, extended. And in fact, at some point he says, "You are a thoughtless woman." Now, all these make Nora believe that this man never ever loved her, and therefore makes a decision to leave. Though at the end, there's suspense, but we can see some light at the end of the tunnel. This is on the last page, when she has just made up her mind to leave. And at this point, Helmer decides to cool down, in a way apologizing and feeling remorseful for having called her names. And this is only after he receives another letter, or he reads another letter from Krogstad, saying that they are free of any blame, and that he wasn't going to pursue the issue of the forgery. So this makes him go low, knowing that he's not in any trouble, but the woman has set her mind up. So she leaves him with one message of hope on the last page.
I'll read the second words of Nora on page 120. Ah, Torvald, the most wonderful thing of all would have to happen.
Continue.
Then Helmer answers, "Tell me what that would be." Nora says, "Both you and I would have to be so changed that, oh, Torvald, I don't believe any longer in wonderful things happening." Then Helmer says, "But I will believe in it. Tell me, so changed that," Nora goes on, "that our life together will be a real wedlock. Goodbye." Then she goes out through the hall.
That tells us, as a woman, she has fought her battles, and though she's leaving, she's giving him one condition, that if he changes, they will have another wonderful thing happening, because one has already happened. So what would this wonderful thing be? And those are the questions we keep asking ourselves. And Helmer actually says, "But I will believe in it." So Helmer maybe is ready to change and walk away from male chauvinism and dominance, so that together they can have a real wedlock. So that is the third act.
Thank you, Mr. Ofula, for that analysis. In this episode, or rather this last act, Helmer comes out as an egocentric person, as a selfish person. Actually, what is coming out at last is the appearance versus reality. What we really knew Helmer as is not what he actually is. At the beginning, he comes out as a caring man, adoring. He adores his wife, calling her sweet names, and associating her with sweet, as much as it is belittling. But at first, we see it as a way of showing love and caring towards Nora. Now, at the end, the reality is he doesn't really love this woman, because the woman you claim to love, you cannot abuse her, you cannot insult her. And that shows that Helmer is insolent. He's abusive towards his wife by calling her all those names, criminal, and many others. So he comes out as an egocentric person. If you look on page 104,
Now that you have destroyed all my happiness, you have ruined all my future. It is horrible to think of. I am in power of an unscrupulous man. He can do what he likes with me. Ask anything he likes of me. Give me any orders he pleases. I dare not refuse. And I must sink to such miserable depths because of a thoughtless woman.
those words by Helmer, as read by Elijah, tell us that Helmer is egocentric. He is so self-centered that he cannot. He is actually think it's about him. It's about I. You have destroyed my happiness, my future. Huh? I'm in the power of. I dare not refuse. I must sink. So he is not really thinking about the feelings of Nora, who is supposed to be his partner, who is his wife. And that's why we are saying that he is egocentric, he is self-centered, he is all about himself. Me, myself, and I. And that is the height of selfishness. The text A Doll's House brings about a myriad of issues, but the most predominant ones are women and femininity, pride, honor, respect, and reputation. The text also deals with aspects of lies and deceit. We've seen all through the text that the marriage of Nora and Helmer is actually built on lies and deceit. There is the aspect of money and materialism, the sacrificial role of women in the society. And then we have parental and filial obligations, appearance versus reality, gender roles, conflict between an individual and the society. There are aspects of betrayal, aspects of growth and development, and many other issues which we cannot exhaustively deal with in this forum. And that's why I'm calling upon my students and other students out there to go deep and find out what are these other underlying issues in the text A Doll's House. And in this aspect, we'll enjoy the text, we'll enjoy everything, and by the end of the day, we'll enjoy literature and pass our exams.
Talking about styles, we have very many styles in the text, but I'll mention just a few. One, we have symbolism. This is a style that is traverses the text right from the beginning to the end. Just to mention a few symbols that we have seen, we start with the title, a doll. The word doll has been used symbolically to refer to women and how they are treated like pets in the text. In connection to symbolism, we have metaphors. Women or Nora, in many occurrences we have seen that she is referred directly to as skylark, squirrel, singing bird, and many others. All these are metaphors that play a major role in developing the major theme or the main theme, the place of a woman in the society. We also have sarcasm. Just to mention one, Mrs. Linde, when addressing Nora on issues of money, especially after Nora appeared to be selfish and non-empathetic, she tells her, mockingly that she doesn't have a father to give her money for traveling. And I think that was in reference to Nora's mention of her father having funded her trip to stay with her husband. We also have humor. When you look at the text, it is meant to elicit laughter to the reader as you enjoy the main theme. One, for instance, is when Nora hides some macaroons in her pocket, and when Rank and Linde come, she is able to give them one each. And for Rank, actually, what makes it more humorous is the fact that she puts the piece of macaroon in his mouth, and that is actually meant to create laughter. We have hyperbole. There are many cases of exaggeration in the text, but I'll just pick one again. Helmer says that money seems to melt in the hands of Nora. Earlier on, he had said that little persons like Nora are really extravagant. So money melting in her hands is exaggerated to just show how extravagant she is. Rhetorical question.